Hi everybody, that's the baseball hype, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, and the Mets won a series. I believe that they won a series. They won 8-4 tonight against the San Francisco Giants. You know, this game, a couple things before we get into it. Please, of course, subscribe and like this video. But really, the big takeaway for me, we mentioned that Pete Alonso is going to the All-Star games, going to be the Home Run Derby. But my biggest takeaway from this game, even though the Mets won 8-4, the bullpen, really, they tried everything they could do to give this game to the Giants. I mean, the Mets walked 7 batters in the game. They hit 3 batters in the game. I mean, really, but the Giants' bullpen wasn't much better. I didn't really like the fact that Buck took Peterson out after 4 innings. Your bullpen's terrible. And Peterson did not pitch that badly in this game. In the 4 innings that he went, I don't know what the rush was to take him out. Obviously, the biggest problem with this team is that they just don't go deep in the games. So you're having to ask guys that are not very good to get outs late in the game. Now, Grant Hardwick, he came in the game. He pitched really well. And he's a guy from the Mets organization. He's come up through the system. I think I mentioned this in videos. The best way to build a good bullpen is through your farm system. Because a lot of times you can have starters that go through your minor leagues. They develop how to pitch. They develop their repertoire. So say you got a guy that has 3 pitches, but maybe that third pitch isn't very good. You can throw him in the bullpen in the major leagues. I said that about that's what happened with Jerry's Familia and Henry Mejia. Seth Lugo is another example. They use use some recent ones. But this bullpen, again, and he brings him Jeff Brigham in the 7th. Bring him out of here. Get him out of here. Bring him somewhere else. And the guy took himself out. The way he pitched, he's just terrible. I think I mentioned that the rumor was that prior to the Mets picking him up, that he was going to be DFA'd by the Marlins. And the Mets made a trade with the Marlins to pick him up. He's just terrible. To be honest with you, he's just terrible. I'm very surprised at how the Giants played this weekend because. Against the Mets because they had played so well for so long, and I was expecting a better effort from them, especially tonight. And we would get a better effort, against the Mets, seeing how poorly the Mets have played. But I am not complaining. I'm just saying that I was surprised that the Mets didn't get more of a fight from the Giants. And like I said in this game, it seemed like the Giants. The Mets were really trying to give the Giants this game. I mean, the bullpen was. You can't win if you're going to give up 7 walks and you're going to hit 3 batters. You can't win like that. Now, the Mets are going to go on the road. They're going to play the Diamondbacks. They're in first place. That's going to be a tough series. And I'm going to be honest with you. I guess it was good that they got this series win. They haven't had a series win in a month. When they played the Phillies at the end of May, early June. It's going to be tough 6 games to finish the break. They're going to be facing, again, the first place team. And even though the Padres have been struggling just as much as the Mets, they're just complete disaster out there in San Diego. The Mets don't play well in San Diego. They never have. And this goes back 50, 60 years. 50 plus years. So I am not optimistic about this road trip. I could see them losing 2 out of 4, even more than that, maybe 1 out of 6. I don't want to say I don't like being the jinx of anything, but I'm just pointing that out. Very concerned about this road trip. And I've been saying in the last few videos that this team is just slide away from losing 100 games. I hate to be such a pessimist after a series win, but this game, if you had a better team that did a better job of scoring runs in this game, Mets could have lost this series, you know, and could have lost this game. But the Giants, I guess they've gone through a bit of a rough patch now the last 5 games now. So they've sort of reversed a little bit to where they've played. But when your bullpen does not pitch well like that, it's going to make it very difficult when you're going up against the Braves, the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Diamondbacks. It's tough to live like that. But there was some good performances. Tommy Pham, he had a good night. I don't expect them to turn this around. If they do, great. I'll be the happiest person. You can imagine if they turn this around. But I don't see them turning this around. I think that they dug themselves such a deep hole. I mean, they went from 3 games behind the Braves to 16 and a half in a month. And they show a statistic that when the Mets scored 7 runs, they have 7 losses. They're 12-7 when they scored 7 runs in a game. And what's the other statistic? 12 losses with 6 runs or more? Yeah. I mean, that tells you how bad your pitching is and how bad your bullpen is. Now, Verlander pitched well yesterday. He looked good. Scherzer has looked better. But this hole that they've dug themselves in, it is going to be very, very difficult for them to get out of it. Tommy Pham will get moved if they don't turn this around. He's played great. High energy guy. He's intensity, which Mets have more of that on this team. He'll be gone. David Robinson's going to be gone. I would expect Mark Cannon had a good game. He's probably going to be gone. I got a funny feeling we're going to be stuck with Daniel Vogelback the rest of the year. Just a funny feeling. Ottavino could be gone. I wouldn't be surprised if Brooks Raley gets moved. I don't get fooled by what I see day to day. It's sort of, as a fan, you get into the moment. Don't be so much in the moment when it comes to baseball. It's over sort of a course of things, over the course of games and weeks and a month or so. And the thing I want to say to you is that just look at it long term. How's this team played? Do you think and expect this team to play better when they have not shown for the first 3 months, first 80 plus games, that they're going to turn this around? And they got so many teams now in front of them. And then, what are they, only 2 games in front of the Nationals for last place? That's scary. That's very scary to be that close to last place. It's been a very disappointing first half, obviously. A very disappointing first half. Very disappointing year. It didn't start out that way. But long term, I think the Mets are fine. But the short term, this whole season, very disheartening, obviously. Now, next week there's going to be the draft. After the draft, there's going to be a lot of rumors bouncing around. After we come back from the All-Star break, expect a lot of rumors about Major League Baseball that Friday, and it's really going to start kicking into gear with 2 weeks prior to the trade deadline. So when we come out of that next week, stuff's going to start percolating. We'll get a better idea of where the Mets are. I think I have an idea where they are. They were very willing to move Escobar a couple weeks ago, and that was a pretty good indication of where they look at this team. Hopefully the front office is not fooled by this. I know I'm not fooled by it. I hope that if you're watching this video, you're not fooled by it either. Now, with the draft coming up, people are going to say, well, I don't trust Epler to do a good job with the trade deadline. He did a good job last year as general manager with the draft. Mets got very good accolades for having a good draft. And the Mets' number 1 pick, Kevin Parado, who's playing in Brooklyn right now, he has hit great, and he's killing them and the New York Penn League, and it's a high A ball. So there's a possibility he might be in Double A after the All-Star break, at least for Double A. So don't expect a bad draft, I don't think, from the Mets. This is considered a very good draft next week. And I'll have stuff on the Baseball Hut too, and on the Prospect Hut when the Mets start drafting these players. I'll have scouting reports on it, and you'll get a chance to find out more about these players on those different channels. So, but again, this season is a heartbreaker. More even so than if they were a bad team going into the season and they played terrible, or a team that was considered mediocre and they were terrible. This is a real heartbreaker, as a fan. I don't like when the Mets are good and they lose. It really upsets me. Because I want the Mets to win. And when you think your team is good, and I thought this team was at least an 87, 88, 89 win team, and they're like, 8 games under 500. And it's very disheartening. Now, my energy is not as high because it's getting late here at the hut. But I want to thank you for watching. This video will come up in a little while, and if I want to record it. But I recorded right after the game was over just to get my first sense of things. But please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Like what you see. Subscribe.